We will now enter into the study of the fifth Anuvaka of the Chamaka Prashna. So you will see in this Anuvaka there are 31 things are asked for, and there is both the Nirasa and the Sarasa. Nirasa means that which does not have any liquid part inside, rasa inside, and then those which have this rasa also, sap and things like that. So they are asked. It is not a very there is not any great deep philosophy in this, but what we will see is that for the sake of yajnarthat, for the sake of yajna, all these things are required. So ashma means rock. So this ashma is a very, or a rock or a slab of stone is an extremely important part in Vedic rituals. Pretty much no Vedic ritual takes place without a slab of stone. So when the first initiation takes place in Upanayana, so the person who is going to be initiated into Upanayana, Naresh Karumeki, you may remember this when we did it for you, where you are asked to stand on a rock and then you promise saying that I am going to be steadfast, committed to Vedic studies like a rock cannot be disturbed. So you stand like an Ashma Bhava. So we ask of the initiate to be like a rock in his pursuit of studies, commitment of pursuit of studies. Parashur Bhava. Parashu actually means the axe, a very sharp axe. So may your mind be absolutely sharp like that. So like that you initiate in the Upanayana. Then also in the wedding. In the wedding, the husband and wife, especially the wife, is asked to stand on that rock. And the husband says, in my life you be like that, a rock solid support for me. So that is asked. So Ashma, Iva, so and so. There are about 4 havis is given by both of them. And then actually this includes all kinds of rocks, because a variety of rocks are required for our life, right up to the diamond, which is also a rock. So Ashma Chame, Mrittika Chame. Mrittika actually means soil, dust. So the reason here Mrittika is picked up is everything reduces to dust. So the entire creation ultimately goes to dust. This is why you remember we chant the Mrittika Sukta as part of the Mahanarayana, where we say Mrittike haname papam yanmaya dushkritam kritam Mrittike brahmadatta se kashyapena bhimantrita Mrittike dehi me pushtin tvayi nirnuda Mrittike, part of Mahanarayana Upanishad, which you can go back and refer to. It comes right after the Agamarshana Sukta. So you will find that. Then the next is Girayaschame. Giri means mountains in which rivers are formed. See, there are very clear classification. There is a difference between Giri and Parvata. So a Giri cannot be called Parvata or vice versa. So Giri means such mountains where rivers are formed. And Parvata means mountains which are very solid, made of lot of rocks and stones, and so stable that on which we can build temples. Heavy temples can be built. See, that is why in the Vastu Shastra, whenever they choose a location for a temple to be built on a hill, then they very carefully note that what quality of those, whether it is a Giri or a Parvata, so they will determine. Sometimes they also build temples which are on Giri also, for the sake of, for example, Venkatagiri. So there are also cases where you do build, but it is built where there are very solid rocks. So because we don't want landslides to happen. Then Parvataschame. Sikata. Sikata is actually sand. The silicon, actually Saikata is silicon, so that also is prayed for. And then Vanaspati are those trees that yield fruits without obviously going through the process of flowers. See, many a time you get flowers and then the flowers become fruits. But Vanaspati is special, where it will be there, but you will not even know that it is there. Suddenly you will start seeing fruits. They are called Vanaspati. Actually, you will see a lot of study of various plants and trees in all the Vedas. Rigveda, Taittiriya Samhita, it is there. Atharva Samhita is there. And then Sushruta and Charaka have studied an enormous amount of plants, because that is how pharmacology and then pharmaceuticals are made. In fact, a tremendous amount of knowledge has been borrowed from our Ayurveda and our knowledge of the plants, even in allopathic medicine. So, just as a sample, I will give you a few classifications that Rigveda gives. Since it is the most source of all Vedas. One is Vriksha. Vriksha means tree. And it says Oshadhi. Oshadhi means herbs that are useful to humans. Virudha, we are going to meet that word also. Virudha means creepers. Then Vriksha, Vana, Druma are used synonymously for trees. Then Vishakha. That means shrubs with spreading branches. They don't grow tall. They just go spreading. And then there is a Shasha. Shasha is actually medicinal herb. Amshumali. That means that spreads very wildly and difficult to control. Like the Congress plant. So it grows very wildly, and then it actually destroys other crops. They don't serve any purpose other than eating away and taking away your land. Then Vratati, which is a climber, and then you have Stambhini, which is like a bushy tree. Then Pratanavati, which is a creeper. So when you meet these words in Vedic studies, what is all this? You will not be worrying. It is all various kinds of plants. Alasala is one that spreads in the ground. So all of these things are worshipped and prayed for the sake of yajna. Hiranya, obvious, gold. Hiranyanchame, ayaschame. Aya, if you go to a dictionary, it will normally be translated as iron. But in this context, it is silver. So, because Aya is also in Vedic terms, is an alloy of gold and silver. Because usually they probably mix copper with gold in our jewelry, but in some utensils, gold is mixed with silver. Yeah. But here, in the Vedic word, in this context, it has to be translated as it has to be translated as because Vedic Sanskrit is different from classical Sanskrit. So therefore, we have to depend on our ancient sages in the interpretation of the words. Then Sisa, of course, it is lead. Trapu is tin. So all these things are equal. Shama means any black-colored metal. It could be iron. Then etc. Instead of saying etc., they say lohanchame. So all the other metals, not specifically. Loha is actually a metal. That's all. For example, we say gold loha, silver loha, all of them, it's a generic term representing metals. So these prayers, these materials are all we pray for, not only to be available for us from outside. So please note that all these metals and minerals are required for our body also inside, right? So that is why when you go to the doctor, they will say you are short of iron, you are short of certain metals and minerals and all that. So we are also asking in this for those things that have needed within our own body. So in this context, we have got to interpret the next word, Agni. Lohanchame, Agnischame. So what kind of Agni? That Agni within us, which will make all these metals useful for the organic body. Isn't it? A metal is an inorganic substance. So that inorganic substance should become organic so that it becomes part of our body and nourishes us. So what is that process? Who processes it? It is Agnischame, Apaschame. So a combination of Agni and water. Water also can be taken internally as hydration. See, it's so important that we should be properly hydrated from within. And Virudhaschame, as I mentioned earlier, creepers that yield fruits and flowers are all called Virudhaschame. Not any creeper, but that creeper which gives fruit and flowers. Then Oshadhayaschame, plants, herbs. So a question arises, if our ultimate goal is to acquire jnana and then experience vairagya and renunciation, knowledge and renunciation, then why should we ask for all these things? They are there, and then whatever is available will become available. Should we specifically go and ask? For that, Shankaracharya, in his commentary on the Taittiriya Upanishad, when he is commenting on the Yaschandasam Rishabho, Taittiriya Upanishad, Shikshavalli, 4th Anuvaka. So when you have a chance, you can go read that. In that, you will see that he indicates in that commentary that for the sake of doing punya karma, you need money and wealth. So punya karma, only when you do punya karma, all the sins are going to be atoned. In other words, papakshaya can happen only by punya karma. And for the sake of doing punya karma, you need wealth. So you use the wealth only for the sake of good works, which are going to remove sins and negativity, and which will invoke merit. And from that merit, you get chitta shuddhi, you get purity of mind. And when that purity of mind is also called as Shuddha Antahkarana. Shuddha, pure Antahkarana. Antahkarana, reason why Antahkarana word is used is, it is the combination of all the 4. Manas, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara. All these 4 form the components of a mirror inside us. You remember yesterday in our Kathopanishad study, I gave this metaphor of the mirror. So when this mirror can get beautifully clean, only in this Shuddhantahkarana, which is achieved by meritorious works and neutralization of all the sins, then the Brahma Vidya shines through that mirror, finely polished mirror. Therefore, we are asking for all these things. That is why very, very cleverly the sage in this Anuvaka has introduced the phrase Yajnena Kalpantam. Otherwise, it's almost out of context. Suddenly, why is he saying Yajnena Kalpantam? So that we don't forget why we are asking all these things. Then Krishtapachyanchame. Krishtapachya means those grains, fruits and vegetables which are fit to eat and which you cultivate, and after cultivation you bring it home and then cook. They are all called Krishtapachyas. For example, wheat, rice and some of those grains. All those grains you have to actually cultivate through agriculture. They don't grow wildly. Though you get wild rice and things like that, but they are not so edible. Especially for weak stomachs like us, like ours. They are all called Krishtapachya. Akrishtapachya is the opposite. That means those edible roots and plants that grow on their own without the necessity for agriculture, and they have to be consumed by all those people who go for Vanaprastha and all the rishis. A person who goes for vanaprastha is not supposed to get things and then cook at home or elsewhere. So that is why you may have read in lot of the Puranas that these rishis were eating only kanda moola phaladi. That means they dig up the earth and then they find a root and they eat that root. And then whatever fruit is available on the tree, that is what they eat. So that is why their eating is also very, very limited. So when a person is saying that I am a vanaprasthi, he has got to practice all that. So then don't tell. Don't tell you are going to get into vanaprastha ashrama. Then Krishna Pachanchame, Akrishna Pachanchame. Similarly, Gramyaschame, Aranya Pashu and Gramya Pashu are prayed for. See, here it is not just villages and forests. Not only just villages and forests, we are also asking for domesticated animals and those wild animals which are in there. So the sages were very, very conscious of the environment, because you just imagine if any of the species disappear, it's going to wreak great havoc. So that is why they say Gramyascha me Pashava Aranyascha. Here you see how he slips. Yajnena kalpantam. Because they know that when we are talking about gold, silver and this and that and all that, people will forget about yajna. So to remind us, he introduces yajnancha. And another interesting thing why yajnena kalpatam is introduced here is because of the following words. Vittancha me. Vitta means all the inheritance from our forefathers. That's called vitta. Not any any wealth is called vitta. So here a little bit of contemplation is required, because you will see that in many, many families, parents are abused because they have wealth. In many, many families, parents are abandoned after taking away their wealth. We have seen that happen everywhere. In many, many families, if the parents do not give their wealth to their children, then also the families break up and they ill-treat their parents. Isn't it? So here, the subtext of this is the very fact that our parents have given us this Manushya Janma. They have given us this body. What more inheritance do we want? So we should contemplate this very, very seriously, very important. Otherwise, this yajnena kalpantam becomes only a lip sympathy. That is all. Absolute non-expectation of any inheritance from the parents. If it comes, it is okay. Yadracha labha santushta, as Gita Charya says. It should come without any himsa. Because what will happen to anybody's wealth? It will ultimately go to their children. So why should the children be anxious about it? So if anybody who is very anxious about their inheritance and then who quarrel because of that, either with the parents or with the siblings, they will be doing a very great amount of papakarya in the Vedic wisdom. So how to neutralize that kind of agony that we have in our mind, that my parents did not leave anything to me, or my parents left money only to one of my brothers and sisters for whatever reason, and they did not give their fair share to me. How much of acrimony you see in this world? All of that things have to be completely neutralized. You can do that when you say that my parents have given me the greatest legacy of having given me Janma. No amount of wealth can be given to purchase this body. What is the exchange that we do with Ishvara? Mahata punya panyena. Only the punya is what we have given to get this human body. And that has become possible through our parents. That is why Vitta is pointed out here. And it is pointed out immediately after the phrase Yajnena Kalpatam. That's how you must also see the architecture of how the scripture is formed. Then Vitti. Vittanchame, Vittischame. Vitti means whatever we have acquired. So whatever wealth we have acquired, what wealth will serve the purpose of yajna? The actual material wealth serves the purpose of yajna when it is used in punya karya. The actual wealth of the body is subserved when it is applied in acquiring knowledge. If we don't use our body mind for acquiring knowledge, and if we don't use our wealth for dharma, then in both cases we would have failed, and this vitti, the one's own earning, will be actually a waste. Otherwise, it will not be available for yajnena kalpantam. So, bhutanchame. Bhuta means the hidden wealth. So, the hidden wealth, again, we miss. What is the hidden wealth? Suppose we bring up our children as great citizens of the world. At this moment, they may not be doing much except they are absorbing everything from the world. But you are monitoring that wealth with the children so that they become a great citizen when they grow up. So the wealth of that citizenship in your children is bhutanchame. Then there are other hidden wealths also within us. Discrimination, viveka, faith in God and scripture, astikyam, devotion, bhakti, dedication to everything we do, shraddha, the knowledge that we acquire, vidya, that our readiness to share with others, dana, and then the inclination for doing good, the dharma buddhi. All of these things are hidden wealth within us. Bhutanchame. You can see once you unlock the mantra, how much of beautiful things will come out. Bhutischame. Bhutischame means all those wealth which you can actually perceive and see. Dhana, kanaka, vastu, vahana, jana, yavana. Dhana means the wealth you have got. Kanaka, the gold and other ornaments you have got. Vastu, all the things you have got. Vahana means the vehicles you have got. Yavana means your youth you have got. Rupa means the good looks you have got, or proper looks you have got. Isn't it? Good looks is a matter of judgment. But if all our indriyas, if all our sense organs are functioning, that is good looks. Isn't it? So all these things are called prakata dhanam. That means all the wealth that is actually perceivable and seen. We have to look at that as grace of God. And we have to use it for the sake of worship. So this is bhutanchame, bhutischame. Vasuchame. Vasu in this context means all the utensils and the various furniture that are used in yajna. See, for example, you have a stool, and in another occasion, I will give you I have pictures of all the yajna-yudhas. That is, what are the kinds of utensils you must have in conducting a yajna. There is a tool called spya. So I will show it to you in one of the classes, where you actually cut the grass into proper shape. And then you have got a wooden bowl in which all the water and other things are stored. Ajyapatra. So many utensils are there. All of them may I have. That's called vasu. Karmachame. That means all the actions regarding to yajna. Then shaktischame. may I have both the endurance and also the physical ability so that I can do yajna, I can worship. Yajna karma samarthyam. What is the beginning? At least we must be able to sit in one place for 3 hours. Arthanchame, here in this context, artha is interpreted by our Purvacharyas as the artistic ability to create the yajnashala. See, to draw the rangoli, the diagrams, the mandalas, and then to do music, dance, the building up of the altar, the building up of the mantapa. So all those things are also asked for. Yemaschame. Yema means good name, fame, growing fame. We can call it as yashas. So give me such a fame, give me that fame which is acquired by my dedication to yajna. So not any fame. Because of my yajna buddhi, please give me fame. And then when we worship, the most famous, the fame that we get is what is asked for here. You remember again in Mahanarayana, we have come across a mantra, Tasya nama mahad yashaha, Tasya nama mahat yashaha. The great famous name, his name, that is Narayana's name, Tasya nama mahadrishaha. Na sandrishe tishtati rupamasya, na chakshusha pashyati kaschanainam. What is the kind of that kirti, that yashas, that fame, that reputation? It is something that you cannot see with the naked eye. It is something that should be pursued by everyone. Who can miss the presence of a Narayana? Who can miss the presence of a Rudra? Everywhere in the creation, isn't it? So like that, let my fame also grow because of my yajna buddhi. Itishchame, iti means sankalpa siddhi. That means two things. I have to get the ability to take the right resolve. And secondly, because of this yajna, all my right resolve has to give the expected outcome. So both of them is called iti. Then finally, gatishchame. Gatishchame means let my final destination be of the highest quality. Liberation, moksha, nirvana, sadgati. In other words, iti and gati is such acts which will actually uplift us, called atmodhara, and it will also do good for the world. Loka Kalyana and Loka Sagraha. Only those things are permanent in the creation. A classic example that comes to my mind is the contribution of Bhagirath. See, Bhagirath, his great-great-grandfather's sankalpa, that we have to bring the river Ganges from the heavens so that his forefathers will reach the proper destination, Sadgati. What is his contribution? His contribution is his gati, his iti, his sankalpa was to discharge the duty to his forefathers. And his gati was he brought Ganga. And that Ganga who was hiding in the heaven, she becomes Tripathagamini. Tripathagamini means she is in 3 realms. She is in the heaven, she is on the earth, she is in the nether world. In all the 3 places. So for iti and gati, Bhagiratha becomes the role model for us. And for all these things, yajna buddhi resulting in tanme mana shiva sankalpamastu. Therefore, with regard to all these things I have asked in this Panchama or fifth Anuvaka, all of them, let them come from Shiva Sankalpa and let them culminate in Shiva Sankalpa. So that is the quick reading of fifth chapter. Not too much of Vedanta is there, but we have to actually connect all those things. Otherwise it becomes regular prayer, give me a raise, give me a promotion.